Here I am. Okay, who likes my t-shirt? Yeah, shut up. I'm super obsessed with this cartoon right now. Yay! So I am going to make a video for Letters to an Asexual today, but I'm not going to read you the letter because it's not actually a letter. It's just kind of a couple of messages that I've gotten here and there from people asking me, are you ever going to do a video on aromanticism? And I kind of thought, I can't believe I haven't ever done a video that's explicitly about aromanticism. After all, I'm aromantic, so that seems kind of strange that I've been making awareness videos about asexuality and I never went into romantic orientations like aromanticism. I know I've touched on it in other videos and I've mentioned it and I've talked about it in association with asexuality, but aromanticism isn't the same thing as asexuality, even though some of us in the asexual community identify as aromantic or somewhere on the aromantic or gray romantic or demi-romantic spectrum. And I do cover that in my book. There's a whole section right here on aromanticism. You know, I've talked about it in some of my online writings, but I'm gonna make a video about it now. So first off, I'm going to say that aromanticism for me, it means that I don't feel romantic attraction to other people. I know that some people also kind of conflate that with whether you date people, and to be honest, I used to describe it as like, oh, I don't want a relationship. That's what aromanticism means to me. And that's not really a great way of describing it, because there are aromantic people who want non-romantic relationships, even like primary partnerships that look a lot like marriages or dating relationships from the outside, but the participants don't feel romantically about each other. And it can get kind of confusing if you say, you know, oh, I'm an aromantic person, but I have a partner or more than one partner. So I just want to kind of talk about that a little bit. So most people who identify as aromantic are going to say whatever feelings that I feel toward other people, they're just not romantic feelings. And some might talk about not having a romantic drive, and I have definitely heard some people who identify as romantic, asexual, some orientation on that, say that they have a drive for romance, that even if they're not in a relationship with someone, that they feel like, oh, they would like to be, they have this mindset that they would like to be in a romantic relationship. And I guess most aromantic people would say that they don't feel anything like that. Back in the early days of talking about asexuality, before there was a community, I used to conflate those two things entirely, asexuality and aromanticism. It was like a whole world of things that I wasn't interested in. And I just wasn't really feeling that whole idea of I need a partner. And I think that because both of those things were happening for me, I just figured they were kind of the same thing, that romantic drive and sexual attraction, they were all the same thing. But after being in the community for a very long time, I've of course seen the discussions, and I think, yeah, those are different things. And sometimes one of the criticisms that I hear is like, why do you have to pick everything apart? Why do you have to talk about naming every little thing? Why does everything need a label? And I think that it's mostly because these relationships and feelings and attraction experiences and everything, they're very complicated, but they are also very complicated for people who feel them typically, and we just have shortcuts for talking about them. We understand if you say, that's my husband, we can kind of assume with most, say, heterosexual or bisexual or homosexual couples, if someone says, that's my husband, we usually do assume they had sexual attraction, they had a courtship, they have certain things that happened in their relationship, that they said it with one word. We in this community we don't have those words yet. We don't have vocabulary for those things yet that are broadly understood, and we're trying to develop that language. And I think that that's natural for a group of people who have been taught this is part of your life, and if you don't feel this way, then you're going to be alone, or you might want a partner. If you're a romantic person but you don't feel sexually toward them, they're going to say there's something wrong with you, or that you won't ever deserve a partner. And I think that when we talk about these parts of different feelings that we can have, different attractions, then we can understand under what circumstances we can expect to experience attraction, and we can find other people who feel the same as us if we want to. Now, going back to aromanticism, I would like to say that as an aromantic person who also does not desire any kind of partnership, I'm just happy single, and I have very close friendships, and those friendships are enough for me. They are very satisfying, they're very fulfilling, and I don't want some other kind of partnership from anybody that I've met in my life. So, but some aromantic people will say, you know, I have a primary partner or more than one primary partner, that, you know, they're supportive of me, they live with me, they may raise kids together, they may have a business together, stuff like that. But they just say that they don't feel romantically about that person. And that doesn't necessarily even mean that they might not have sex, or they might not cuddle, or they might not be physically intimate in some way. It's just that you say that you don't feel romantically about that person. And this again goes back to, why do you have to analyze everything? Why do you have to pick it all apart? And I think that it's mostly because when you ask somebody, what is romantic? How do you know that you feel romantically about that person? They almost always say, you just know when it's the one. You just know. And I don't understand why it is that the opposite of that isn't true, that we can't just know that it isn't romantic. If you don't feel that your romantic attraction to that person should be, you know, considered to be a sexual one as well, then you should be able to say that. If you're an aromantic person and you feel that the partnership that you have with someone is not a romantic thing, you should be able to say that, and you should be respected and believed. So anyway, that kind of covers what aromanticism is as far as what I've experienced and the conversations that I've seen. I also just want to touch on what demi-romantic and gray romantic mean. There are people out there who say, you know, if you're a heterosexual person and then every once in a while something peculiar happens. Every once in a while you see someone of your same sex who seems romantically attractive to you, and you say, like, well, what's the deal? I'm not gay. Why do I feel like I'm romantically attracted to that person? That would be a person who's a heterosexual person, but maybe bi or pan-romantic. And it's very confusing if you don't have language for those sorts of things. There is a way to sometimes be in between, I guess, orientations of maybe you're used to experiencing no romantic attraction, like an aromantic person like me, but every once in a while there's a person that you say, something different is happening here, and I think that it's romantic attraction. Some people would call that a gray romantic orientation, that it's an attraction that happens very rarely, that it happens only to a certain very small subset of the population. Maybe it doesn't have a particularly strong strength. I've heard gray romantic people describe it in a bunch of different ways, that, you know, in some way they feel like it is not the same frequency or the same type or the same strength as they're led to believe most people would. And I've heard criticism of people saying, like, why do you have to name that? That sounds like you're just picky, or you're somehow normal and you're trying to claim an orientation or claim a label that's going to put you in a marginalized category. And just as an aside, I don't understand why there's so many people who feel like we want to claim a marginalized identity for some kind of personal gain. Like, those of us who have actually experienced what happens with a marginalized identity know that it's usually not fun. So I don't know why it would be a coveted status, but anyway, I'm going off subject. Anyway, it doesn't matter if that's normal or that's a lot of people feel that way, because it can still have a name. And as for demi-romantic, I've heard people say that that is a situation where you have to already have other feelings of familiarity and positive interaction with a person before you can start to have a romantic attraction. And again, that is frequently criticized as, oh, you're trying to make the way that romance typically develops into its own label and orientation. That's really not the case, because most of us have grown up hearing about people having crushes on strangers, people having crushes on celebrities, people having crushes on somebody just because they saw them and they thought that they were cute in the coffee shop. So there's a lot of narratives like that, and it can be kind of alienating for those of us who don't feel those sorts of attractions ever, or almost never. So when they observe that their romantic attraction only works toward people that they've slowly started to get to know, and it may not happen often at all, then they may identify as demi-romantic. And some people will consider demi-romantic to be a subcategory of like an umbrella term of gray romantic, but some people will say that they're different things, and I don't really know. I don't feel strongly about either one of those categorizations, so I would let the people who want to have those conversations about themselves kind of come to that conclusion. Anyway, I think I've talked about aromanticism long enough for this video. So I'll just end by telling you that I have a couple of announcements. If you see this video within maybe a month of me posting it, there is probably still a fundraising drive going on for Asexual Outreach, which is a Canadian-based organization that is trying to take the next steps in asexuality awareness. One of them that they're trying to do is provide resource kits for high schools that have a program that includes sexual diversity education, and they'll distribute these resource kits about asexuality to these high schools and other organizations. But they are also responsible for putting on the conference that is taking place in Toronto this year. I will be there. It is June 20th and 21st, 2015. And I do plan to run one workshop, which will be about handling detractors. If I get approved for it, I probably will. So I will be in Toronto, and so they're raising some money for helping out with this conference and some other things. If you want to watch their campaign video, that will kind of clarify and give you more details as to what they're raising the money for. And there's some cool rewards and stuff that you may be interested in if you subscribe to this channel. So, and then the other announcement I have is that so far my book has won 4 awards. Well, I should modify that and say it's been selected as a finalist twice and has won 2 nominations, or rather it has won a gold medal and a silver medal in other contests. So I'm really just blown away by the reception of this book. I'm flabbergasted that it did so well with the awards, and to be honest, I said this on Tumblr, but to be honest, I kind of am not sure if it's actually that great of a book, or if it's really more like the book just needed to exist that badly and everyone's responding to that. I'm kind of going through some edits right now on the book, and I sometimes think that I've phrased things awkwardly and written some unnecessary stuff, and I'm just thinking this is what people are rewarding me for. This is, I guess we're all our own worst critics. I'm really glad that I wrote the book and that people are enjoying it and people are benefiting from it, but I guess sometimes I just look at my work and think, yeah, I really could have done a better job. I don't know. I'm rambling. So anyway, thank you for watching this video. I will probably address some other requested topics in my next videos, but it's possible my next video will be something conference related, so I might have a workshop recorded next time I go in June to that conference. So that's it, and thank you for watching.